Now, for our next Tech Talk, we'll be learning about AI innovation for trustworthiness, which I know has come up at numerous occasions in the last few days. And to tell us more about this, please welcome on stage the Professor of Artificial Intelligence and Information Retrieval at the University of Amsterdam, Professor Dr. Maarten de Rijke.
Thanks. Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? It's great to be here. What I'd like to do is tell you a bit about the way in which we've been organizing ourselves in terms of public-private collaborations around AI in the Netherlands. So let me start with some things that I guess you'll all agree with. We have a lot of challenging societal problems. It could be health or energy or safety or managing big streams of information that may or may not be reliable. And we believe, and I think we share that belief, that AI can make a difference there, can help us deal with these challenges. Now the question is, who should make this happen? And I think in some of the presentations, certainly also yesterday, there were different perspectives on this. Our perspective is very much, this is something you do together. Knowledge institutes, industrial stakeholders, governments, NGOs, everyone should be part of this and of building solutions and trying these solutions out. So the way that we've organized this in this center, Innovation Center for AI, is with so-called labs. At the center of the lab is taking care of talent. At the center of the lab is making AI innovation the shared responsibility, taking care that we have enough technological autonomy in the different stakeholders or with the different stakeholders in the country, and to try things out, to learn by doing in the context of the different stakeholders. So the lab is the central building block. It takes on board new talents, PhD students, experts who can supervise these PhD students, could be academic, industrial, and the output of a lab is new knowledge, new algorithmic solutions. We feed this to society, and new talents that can hopefully find their next steps somewhere else in the Netherlands. And so these labs, they have multiple stakeholders, knowledge institutes, companies that fund the lab or help fund the lab, NGOs, governments. They have at least 5 PhD students. They have a shared research agenda. They agree on what they want to work on together. And all of the innovation is open, meaning that whatever comes out, eventually it's published. It's out there for everyone. Of course, we have IP arrangements. We create a lot of work for our lawyers. But at the end of the day, everything will be open. We started about 3.5 years ago, late in April 2018. We thought not enough was happening, so we decided let's build something together. Right now, we have 28 of these labs throughout the country, many of them in Amsterdam, but also in Delft, Eindhoven, Utrecht, Nijmegen, Den Bosch. 28. With over 200 talents attracted, lots of companies involved that help fund this, some governmental organizations involved, and about a dozen universities involved. But of course, with these labs, we're not done. That's only a first building block. Once we have those talents, we've attracted them, we've trained them, we want to retain them. And so for that, we have what's called here the launchpad. Connect these talents that are close to finishing their PhD studies, connect them to an industrial stakeholder in the country, a governmental one, an academic one, a startup, what have you. As you probably all know, these types of talent are in very high demand. If we don't give them a spot here in the country, they'll be gone before you know. And so that's a big next step, the launchpad. Sharing the knowledge through MOOCs, through podcasts, through training programs for professionals. That's our academy. Making sure that we learn from each other, connect all these places, these ecosystems, the connector. While it's relatively easy to find talent from across the planet to join our labs and to help build algorithmic solutions in health or in news or in energy or any other area of AI, it's fairly hard to find people who can actually manage those labs and supervise those talents. So we're trying out different formats of making these positions more interesting. One of them is so-called joint appointments, where junior professors are employed both at a university and at a company, and then typically a company that sponsors a lab. And then finally, the ventures. So helping talent that we train to start a startup. So that's what's up and running now, about 3.5 years. And we're very proud that we can announce a new boost. So a few weeks ago, we managed to bring together a big consortium on trustworthy AI-based systems for sustainable growth that will expand this ecosystem. So what does it do? Well, most of you have at least some technical background, so we do a simple matrix multiplication here. We take key dimensions of trustworthy AI-based systems on your left-hand side, so predictable accuracy, reliability of systems, even for underserved populations, repeatability of the results, because we all know that there's a lot of randomness in many of the experimental solutions that we investigate. Resilience to change, resilience to attack. Safety of data, of private data, of proprietary data. Key dimensions of trustworthy AI on the one side. And the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, on the other side, and we mix those. 70 new labs, launching Q2 next year, working on algorithmic solutions in lots of societal areas, whether it's on food, on health, education, water, energy, news, safety, security, you name it. SDGs on the one side, the trustworthy AI dimensions on the other. Launching, as I said, Q2 next year. That should boost our labs to around 50, probably double the number of talents that we're able to attract and train. Increase the number of companies and private organizations involved, public organizations involved, and spread out across even bigger parts of the Netherlands. So that's our story for now, where we are with ICAI, 28 labs, over 200 talents. This is our story for the near future, doubling in size in labs and in talent. And it all revolves around these three key messages: making talent the core of any ecosystem that is targeting AI innovation, making AI innovation a shared responsibility. Of course, knowledge institutes support this, industry supports this, but also governments should do this, societal stakeholders should do this, and making it a shared responsibility means you invest in talent, you invest in technology, you build stuff yourself, you try out stuff yourself, you put it to work for your own solutions. Even if you don't know yet quite how to do this, you learn by doing. And so that's the message of ICAI. We're growing fast, and we're very proud that we're growing fast, and I'd love to tell you more if you'd like to know more outside this meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Maarten, thank you very much for that. Great to have you with us. I'm just wondering if we can see if anybody's got any questions that they'd like to ask you. Is that okay with you?
Of course.
Wonderful. Any questions, and please do raise your hands. We've got a gentleman there at the front just bringing a microphone to you, and anybody else, just wave at me madly and I'll be able to spot you. Hi, go ahead.
Hi, very interesting presentation and wonderful to see the growth of talent fostering and talent community building. I'm working on a project on European level on online hate speech detection, and one of the things we do is with explainable AI is, are we not crossing the border of legislation, GDPR, with the things we want to do? For example, you can detect hate speech and you know who the perpetrators are, and you can identify them, and then suddenly you have data in your hands which is a little bit crossing the border. If companies, social enterprises, academia, law enforcement is going to collaborate on it, like in this constellation, and try to do something for the peace and stability of society, how can we learn, and maybe from your community, what we can do and what we can't do?
I love that. I love that whole ethos. Come into the center stage for me. Thank you, Maarten. I love that ethos of building that peace and stability as a kind of ecosystem, an ecosystem of responsibility, I suppose, right? Great question.
Yeah, so I think ecosystem is the right word here. So the knowledge creation is something you share. And so and the talent development is something you share. And so the way that we would approach this would be to make sure that from day one, the people working on developing solutions to these problems are exposed to all the realities that come to play here. So the technical ones, the ethical ones, the legal ones, so that there's an ongoing conversation, meaning that also that if there is an intervention for whatever reason, it's not a surprise. The team is ready. The team can actually come up with a sensible response. Right? So that's really key to these labs, that they're embedded, that the talent is not isolated in an office somewhere in the back of the university. They're embedded. They spend quite a bit of time with the sponsors, whether it's a company sponsor, an industrial sponsor, a governmental sponsor. So I would go for the making sure that everyone is on board all of the time. It will require a lot of talking, a lot of disciplines involved also, all of the time. These are, you probably don't have set rules for this. You have to deal with it when it happens. Right, so then you want your people to be ready for these surprises.
I suppose keeping them on that track is going to be really tricky, because it's nice to have it from, the sentiment might be there from the very beginning, but it's trying to keep that as a point of reference through whatever you do, which I think is the tricky thing.
Yep. Well, you know, that's what you have people for who run a lab, who believe in the mission, who also believe in this shared ownership. Where these are problems that are not just academic problems, they're not just industrial problems, they're not just governmental or societal problems. You share the ownership. And so, of course, you'll have to continue to feed that message to everyone involved.
I wonder, do you have a view on a sort of way of doing it that you might be able to share with us, or is it just a point of conversation?
I do have a personal view. We should share knowledge because it's for the greater benefit. So I definitely like it that we are creating communities here. And of course, companies can earn money. That's their purpose, I know. But we have multiple purposes, as mentioned, the SDGs as well. And I'd like to learn what we can do with do no harm, the real do no harm. You see? And if I know something, I'll definitely share it with this community. And if you know, I'd love to hear it.
So sharing of information.
Yeah, and collaborate on it. So definitely, I contact you later.
Yeah, please do. And the sound quality is not quite okay, but I think you said do no harm a few times there. And so that's, I think, a super important concept. And it's not an easy one, because acting may actually cause harm. Not acting may also cause harm. So these are very difficult settings, especially with direct societal impact, or in a medical context, right?
Yes.
Acting may cause harm. Not acting, not doing an intervention may cause harm as well.
And I think being vulnerable to share, and it being okay to share. Thank you.